A warm welcome from Katherine and myself for today's discussion group. We're now starting the, we're calling the mandatory session, but yes, the sort of the middle session, if you will. Just want to share this reminder of so the organizations from which many of you are affiliated who've made this course possible. And again, to try to make explicit, it's kind of, we struggled sort of how to, or I struggled figuring out how to present this as clearly as possible. So 30 minutes before the session, we do what many of you just sat through, which is a technical support. Then we have this session we're going through now, which will have pretty much the same structure. So a quick update, checklist on what's happening in the course, feedback, because at the end of this week and at the end of every week, we'll be asking you, how we are doing, and then participant presentations. And then we have actually quite a good, sort of inaugural workshop with a really interesting case and problem submitted by a participant. And we're going to sort of workshop that case using a structured, a series of rounds. What I hope will be sort of a lively, methodology, so we're not just droning on. So that's the meeting structure, and we're now in that middle segment. This is the discussion group agreement that we'd like to propose, and if you could type the city and country, and optionally the organization that you're connecting from into the chat window. So I'm hoping everyone has found the chat window by now. So it's a little item in the GoToTraining control panel if you're on a laptop or desktop computer. And if you could go to that chat window and type the city and country that you're connecting from. Yeah. Okay, so Anoop from ACT Alliance Bangkok, Natasha Carr from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Geneva, London, Nairobi, London, Abidjan, Nairobi, Istanbul, Cavite, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, I apologize. London, Oxfam in the UK, Philippines, Iligan City, Cox's Bazar, The Hague, France, Myanmar, Jean-Pierre Makumu. Is from Kigali, Rwanda. Okay, wow. Okay, just think about it, having this many people connected from so many different places. And as we all do international work, this is what the reality that we operate in. So quite a packed agenda for today. So the orientation checklist, we're going to ask you a poll about orientation, a little bit of feedback, then a quick update on the course, and then this is probably the only presentation, the only discussion group in which we'll be talking this much for this 30-minute segment. Each discussion group is going to be organized around presentations that you will make about a particular aspect of your remote partnering plan, with your colleagues, your peers, giving you feedback, sharing their advice, expertise, insights, experience, and we, of course, the course team will be there to share the feedback and facilitate the discussion. That's really how these discussion groups are going to work, and that's the participatory peer learning methodology. So, what should you have done by now? You should have completed onboarding. You should download the remote partnering workbook. That's actually, if you've completed all the steps of onboarding, the endpoint, you end up in the Shares in Scholar and can download the workbook. You should have gotten into the habit. You figure out your own routine, what works best for you, but there are daily tasks. You don't have to do them on the day, but you do have to do them within the week, and you need to know how to view the updates from the course team. The WhatsApp group, it seems like there's a couple of people who would like the, we're sort of trying to find the balance, how much informality and how much should we really stick to just course-related stuff. And we're eager to hear. I think that's actually an issue that we're going to be confronted with in remote partnering. So any thoughts you have on that, would be much appreciated. And then to start actually thinking about your remote partnering plan. So let's pause and see what is with a little poll. And you can only pick one. So I realize they may have all been useful, but do pick what's been most useful to you during orientation. All right, 100%. Okay. So, oh, really interesting. Okay, 28% have voted. Come on, it's just clicking on the box and then I'll share the poll results. Everyone can participate. It's anonymous. It's, you know, and this is just a quick way of getting a feel for what you're telling us. Okay, 65% have voted. So there's still a few people who haven't clicked the box and clicked on submit. Please do that as soon as you can. 75, right? I understand you may need to think about it, especially because you can only choose one, but yes, 81%. So there's still, yes, there's still like 10 people who haven't clicked on the box. All right, because we have a lot to get through, I'm gonna give you about another 10 seconds. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. If you're shy, nobody's going to know that you didn't vote, but on the other hand, if you do vote.
Retta, hi, it's Katherine here. I was just thinking there might be some people on their telephones as well, and I know Barbara said she's in the car, so she's listening on the car, so there'll be a few people missing from that.
Sure, that's a good point. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, so let's look at the results. So 2/3 of you found that what's been most useful are the email messages from the course team. WhatsApp messages, 20%, almost nobody just has paid attention to Facebook Live. Other course participants, that's interesting. So hopefully, presumably, colleagues from the course, but we'll be hearing about the remote coffee trials. So great, thank you. That's wonderful. And let me just take a screenshot of that so we can share that in the update we'll be posting later. So you should now be able to see my screen again. And again, this is just hammering in the same message. This is a quote from another scholar from another course saying, and if you're finding your experience to resemble this one, the good news is that this person was tremendously successful in the scholar course. And yes, we do have webcams turned on, so if you want to see each other. If anybody has a bandwidth issue that makes this a problem, we'll force everyone to turn their webcams off. All right. So now I want to tell you, focus really on what's going to happen next week. We're almost through this week, and I hope it's clear by now how it works. There's a daily update. The update contains tasks, what you need to get done. And then once you've done the tasks, you're free to enjoy the community, go read other people's contributions. And there's some fascinating stuff that's already been posted just in the first couple of days. And even though we don't have everybody on board yet, some people are still working through the onboarding. Just a reminder of the certification requirements. So here we have the community assignments. The first one will be posted on Monday. And then the main focus, which I'm going to explain next, is on the course project, which is the remote partnering plan. So again, you've been working in the community so far, and basically, like a Facebook wall, a discussion group. We're all familiar, I think, but with this kind of a metaphor in terms of how we interact online. The space that's going to be a little different, even if you have a lot of online learning experience, is Creator. So that's going to be this private space for project development, for peer review, and you'll be doing very structured feedback using what we call a rubric. And we're going to be explaining that in the video tutorials, in the discussion group, and in the various ways in which we're offering to support you. So schedule overview, you have already this schedule, but here's the scary red slide that I want to put in front of you. And that's the main deadlines. So it is just the 2nd of March is coming up very soon, and within those 2 weeks, and we realize it's a short time, you're going to be learning about remote partnering and what and how to develop a remote partnering plan by doing it. All right. And we're going to help you. It's going to be obviously a guided process. We'll have videos, explainers, lots of supporting materials. You already have the remote partnering workbook. That's a key resource to help you think through your remote partnering plan, but it's going to be due on the 2nd of March. 1 week later, you're going to have completed your 3 peer reviews. And 1 week after that, you're going to have revised and improved your remote partnering plan. So that at the bottom, you can see, we know with adult learners, it's extremely challenging to sort of carve out time for coursework. Would like to urge you to get started as soon as you can. Do not do what most of us do as adult learners, myself included, which is wait and let time slip by until the deadline seems so close that I need to start paying attention to it. That typically does not work because of the thinking and reflection that's involved in the work that you're going to be doing. So it's not going to be taking a quiz or filling out a form. It's actually developing something that's meaningful in your context. And that's that's how we're going to be entering week 1. So, and you'll see in the slide deck that you can download from the materials section and go to training control panel that we'll also put in the shares and Scholar. You can see the full 4 weeks. I'm just gonna review the first week. So on Monday, there'll be another sort of big update with tasks to start on 2 things. In the community, you'll have the week 1 community assignment, which we're very excited about. You'll be asked to set the scene for your remote partnering work, and you'll be asked to do it in a way of your choosing that really sort of exemplifies the creativity, the sort of willingness to try something new. Now, there are some sort of safer fallbacks, but we're really hoping that you'll find sort of you really use your creativity to present yourself and your remote partnering work to others in the course. And we'll have what we're calling voices of remote partnership. So people who are already active in the Remote Partnership Projects Network, who will be sharing their presentations to sort of model the kinds of possibilities that you can do. But and then alongside the week 1 community assignment, you'll actually be starting in Creator on your main project. And in fact, what you do in the week 1 community assignment, you can consider that it's going to be part of your project. So it does overlap nicely so that the work you do in the community will actually help you progress with your main project in the course. So you can look at the other 3 weeks to get a sense of what's coming, but I now want to turn it over to Katherine. So Katherine, I'm going to make you the presenter, and you will see a prompt to share your screen. And then, yep, great. And
Great.
you'll need to
see my screen.
Yes, indeed.
Great. So hi, everyone. I'm Katherine, and I'm also one of the course organizers, and really pleased that so many of you have been able to attend today. This is fantastic. So one of the things, particularly as we start the course, is we want to make sure that you get as much support as you need. And we do not want to let the technology be the one thing that makes you nervous or hampers you from really being able to enjoy this whole new experience of being online and a whole new approach to working online. So to that end, for those of you who would like some extra support, Retta and I are going to make ourselves available for a few sessions. So whoever wants to get some half an hour support one-to-one to discuss your remote partnering plan, or just get hands-on support, or just some help to be orientated better, we've got a few slots left, or not a few slots left, we've given up some slots to help anybody who really needs it. And Retta's availability is listed here on the slide, and you can actually use the link to schedule. So there'll be some available times, and if it matches with what you're available, then you can book one. And I've also got some availability next week on 2 days, and I've got 4 slots available. So if you want one of those, just go onto the doodle.com poll and book a time with me, and then we can have some one-to-one time. So we also want to say that you are responsible for your own learning, but that doesn't mean that you can't reach out to anybody else, and it doesn't mean that your peers can't help you and that we can't help you. So we don't really want you suffering in silence, even if it's things that we've covered before. There's lots of videos and support on the community site that you can always go back and refer to if you feel that you missed some of the early steps and they're tripping you up now. But if you make it a habit of just in the morning when you get up, go to the internet, get onto your update site and just see what's happening, see where you should be, and then you can gauge, okay, am I on top of things? Am I where I need to be? If you fall behind, that's not a worry either. We know that particularly the variety of countries that you're working in, the context that you're working in, lots of us working in emergencies and humanitarian contexts, you can fall behind. Emergencies happen, and so we recognize that. So just contact us as soon as possible. If you know that there's going to be a problem, just let us know, and the email is there to contact us. So we also have some collaboration guidelines, and we ask you to follow the principles outlined. And oops, sorry, lost my screen there. So and also, just when you're in the Creator Project, this week is not where you're going to be in the Creator Project, but when we actually start to work on our projects, we really want to ask that you listen and read with empathy and intention. People are going to be, you know, pouring their work out to us and each other for feedback, and it's really going to be important that we value what people contribute to. And so to be respectful to those who hold different opinions to ourselves, and that is usually one of the key things around working in partnerships and remotely, is that we do have to manage a lot of differences, and that is often a challenge. But to remember that we will hear lots of different opinions, and that if we put ourselves into the shoes of someone else, we may find that we're understanding where they're coming from much more. So we also say that you'll explore different types and levels of experiences, and then working with others as you would like to work with them. And so we have a specific period where you'll be giving and receiving feedback, and so we ask that we're sensitive to each other. And we may not agree, or we may not think the work is up to scratch, but we have to recognize that we're all at different levels. And then maintaining confidentiality. For our partnerships, there may be some things that we're divulging in the partnerships that are really key to that partnership, and we're divulging them for the purpose of this course. So we want to be recognizing that it's important to keep confidentiality and to respect the sensitivities of the circumstances that people might be working in. And also, it's a learning opportunity, and it's designed primarily, whoops, don't know why I keep losing my slides, sorry about that. And it's designed to really widen the boundaries and to challenge assumptions. So this is in the very unlikely event that you share or submit your assignment with other people's work without acknowledging, or you breach confidentiality by sharing the work outside of the course community, we may have to ask you to withdraw from the course. We know that's very unlikely to happen, but we do need to mention it in the odd occasion that it could happen. So we've really covered quite a bit. If you attended the session before the webinar started, you'll know that we really strongly suggest keeping up with the course, and everything is chunked so that it can be completed in 30-minute sessions. And we just encourage you to complete each activity on a day-by-day basis, and then you'll be really sailing through this program. So what you can do is you can decide for yourself how you want to do it and when you want to do it. But the moment you've set a pace for yourself, you'll know that it's actually really manageable. And again, if you're falling behind, please get in touch with us. It's not a problem if we catch it early. So what to do if you feel overwhelmed? And I'll be completely honest, the first time I came on this platform, I had no idea how the system worked, how to get on. I had my login problems. It was a major palaver, but I persisted. And once I came through the other side, it became second nature. So the more you actually continue to do the instructions, the guidance, and putting the bookmarks on those sections, you'll find you're not even thinking about it. In a week from now, you will not feel overwhelmed. So we really just recommend prioritizing the updates. Everything is really clearly laid out. And as Retta in the earlier section outlined, there's a way of filtering the updates to make sure you're just getting the updates for what you need to do. And so each day you'll get an update posted, you follow that, and you should be fine. We also wanted to ensure that for your support, the remote partnering workbook should be used as a support, because when you're developing your plans, there's tons of ideas in there and tons of approaches and tools that you can actually call on to start thinking about your work plan. We don't necessarily want you to just go to the workbook and look for things to put in your plan, because we're looking for new ideas. This is a whole new area that's developing. So we're really looking for your creativity. We're looking for maybe applying one of the approaches, but changing it for your context. Because a lot of the things that are suggested may work in one environment, but clearly not in another. So it's really, for us, the diversity of people that we have on this course is what makes this course exciting, because we'll be able to debate things that work in one context don't necessarily work in another. So please use it as, a prompt or inspiration, but don't use it as a Bible, because it isn't a Bible. It's really a starter for your own ideas. So I hope that you'll come to it and add to it so that we can keep building our database of ideas and creative approaches. So back to you, Retta. Retta?
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I'm here. No worries.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and without wanting to be caricatural, you'll be hearing from me hammering about deadlines and schedule and structure and all the things you need to do. And fortunately, yes, Katherine has a far kinder and gentler way of yes, presenting a really important dimension of the course, which is that we're committed to your success and to supporting you in every way that that we can. So one of the pre-course activities that we launched almost a week ago was what we're calling the remote coffee trials. So loosely based or inspired by the randomized coffee trials that have been tried in various quarters. And Kath, would you like to share? Yeah, so we want to think there's, I think, almost more than 20 people who have reported back on how their trial has gone. Katherine has selected sort of excerpts, and do you want to say a word about what's in there? What have you found reading the narratives of how these trials have gone for various people in the course?
Sure. So I was really, I was just pleased at how well, for those that actually managed to connect, and feel sorry for those that actually didn't get connected by a person, or for whatever reason it didn't happen. But for those that it did work for, we got fantastic responses in terms of the connections they were able to make, the assumptions they were able to address. It brought the course to life for people. They heard about other people's experiences and challenges, and in some ways it really humanized the course, because you're being prompted by a whole variety of emails and WhatsApp groups and what have you, and suddenly you're actually talking to a human being on the other side. So it really made a massive difference in terms of the connection and I think we underrate the informal contacts and how much more information we can get from people. And I think it does reflect well on partnerships as a whole, that the informal space we can create, the coffee trials that we might try with our own partnerships, it's amazing what you'll be able to do, just even in terms of helping to build trust with your members in your partnership. But also, one idea that we had was, in a partnership, we created a coffee where in the middle of the meeting, we stop for 10 minutes, because often you have breaks, but instead of people all going away and doing their own thing, we ask people to come back and have coffee as a group, and just chat in the chat box and leave the microphone open, and people just chatted with each other. And we saw that it made a huge difference to the bonding of the group. So these are just some of the ways in which we start to recognize the informalities actually really make a big difference.
So thank you, Katherine. So, with 75 people, actually close to 80 now in the course, with these, by matching each person in the course with somebody else, we had 150 potential conversations happening. So we'd like to ask you to share your experience, and we have 6 minutes remaining to do that. So we're going to be able to hear from 3 people. So the way it works is that we're first going to ask for volunteers, and then we'll simply Yes, call on, yes, call on you should there be no volunteers. So we know it's difficult. It's the first time. You may not be familiar with the medium. So we're very, very in tune to the challenges of, but I see that Sumaru Tripathi has raised his hand. Thank you, Sumaru, for saving me from Sumaru. Welcome. I'm going to meet the group discussion timer. Do you understand what the purpose is? So you are going to be given 2 minutes. You will be timed to address the questions that you see on the screen.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah,
Starting the
I was
timer now.
paired with I was paired with Rene Fakwadilla from Philippines, and when I start conversations with her, at first I thought that she's some male, and later I realized that she's female, and we had very good conversations between us, and regularly we are chatting and sharing about the problems regarding the partnership. Uh, Remote partnering is a challenge, as we discussed, because there is the system and there is the trend that INGOs are treating NGOs differently as a recipient, and INGOs are donors and NGOs are the recipients. That's how they are treated, and are really obliged to complete the tasks within the time frame, and then there is no real partnership between NGOs and INGOs, and that can be improved through capacity building and other things like beyond the project contract relationship and time-bound relationship. That's how we can develop our relationship. That sort of communications we had between this week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sumaru. Very concise. With 35 seconds left on the clock, let's go to Shamnaz. Ahmed, Shamnaz, welcome. And can you confirm?
Yeah, so I was introduced to Jeremiah, who wrote me an email, and I was really impressed with the idea of remote coffee. And so we came to know with each other that he works for a search team and how that search team operates during crisis situation. But also I was sharing that I was working on local humanitarian leadership, where I also work on remote partnering. I'm based in Dhaka. My organization is to work in different parts of the country. So this was the challenges we were sharing, that how do we do partnering during an emergency response, and how do we strengthen the capacity so that they can continue and add value. So this is the discussion that that also gave me an idea about how does the search team also works. So, and how we can bring that idea of search team into Bangladesh.
Okay. It sounds like you're typing. I don't know if that's you or yeah.
I'm not typing.
Okay, yeah. So Shamnaz, can you you have 45 seconds left. How do you think your experience of this informal chat with a colleague, does it relate to your remote partnering at all? What did you gain from the experience?
Yes. So it was more important to understand how the search team works of Save the Children. I work for Oxfam, so how does Save the Children deals with partnership? That was one important thing that they discussed with the partners. We also discussed with partners, but in a different way. So that was more important for me, to know another organization's perspective of partnership. We had very little chat, but that's all for now.
Great. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Shamnaz. So we only have time for one. Actually, we're out of time. So what I'd like to say is if you did not get, because I see that both Gordon and Patricia had also volunteered. So we keep these live sessions where everybody has to be there at the same time to get short. But remember, you can go to Scholar, and we've actually asked you to share your experience there too. And in fact, you can see the link to file your report. You'll also find it in the materials. And we'll be sharing the output of that. So all of the reports, there are already more than 20. We'll be sharing them back with you, so you can look at what other people's experience was through these remote coffee trials. One more thing is, some folks have said, well, will I be staying in touch with this person throughout the